Hello there, I'm Mr. Vlad and you're watching a Neverwinter guide video. In this video, we'll be talking about how to do the Demogorgon. The first thing you need to know is that it takes 2000 item level to enter the normal version and 2500 to enter the master version. At the time of recording this video, the normal version can be queued for every hour at the half-hour mark for 5 minutes. So from 30 to 35 minutes on the clock every hour, you can queue up for normal Demogorgon. As far as I know, once Mod 11, the Cloaked Ascendancy, releases, normal Demogorgon and Tiamat will no longer have a time frame for queues. I'm not 110% sure about this change, but hopefully it's true, because it will allow newer players to spam normal Demogorgon for rings, and Tiamat for Alinu's favor if they so choose. But enough about that, back to the topic of the video. The Demogorgon encounter is divided into 3 phases. In the first phase, Demogorgon is in the room, however you cannot damage him. As a tank, your job is to keep Demogorgon on yourself. Since you can't damage him, you have to resort to using taunts in regular intervals. Otherwise, any class with healing will simply pull aggro of Demogorgon and he'll chase right after them. As a paladin, use Bonding Oath and Divine Calls. As a guardian fighter, you have multiple easy ways to keep his aggro: Enforced Threat, Mark, Aggravating Strike, and so on. As a damage dealer in the first phase, your job is to open the largest portals, which are purple. These will give you the most progress to gold. Every time you open a purple portal, 2 large demons will pop out of them. After you kill them, another purple portal will spawn very soon. There is only ever 1 purple portal up at any given time. Now try saying purple portal 3 times really fast. Most of the time you will open enough purple portals to reach gold with a minute or more time to spare. If this is the case, simply go to the entrance and stand in the Sanity Well. Sanity Wells are large blue pillars of light. The one at the entrance is constantly there and never goes away. There are others that spawn across the giant room you fight in, but those can and will randomly disappear and reappear. I'll explain what Sanity Wells are for after I explain the specific mechanics to each phase. In the second phase, you have to kill a giant demon called Goristro. As a tank, your job is to keep Goristro as still as possible so that everyone can position themselves properly. Positioning in this phase is important because Goristro will charge a random player in regular intervals. It's very obvious if you're the one Goristro is targeting because you'll notice a large red indicator going through you. When you are targeted by the charge, you have to try and direct the charge into a yellow rune on the side walls of the giant room you're in. In normal mode, there are 2 yellow runes and 2 black runes at any given point in time. In the master version, there is only 1 yellow rune and 3 black ones. The runes change location every time Goristro charges. Before you start damaging Goristro, simply check where the yellow runes are and position yourself so that you're between Goristro and one of the yellow runes. The reason you're pointing him into the yellow ones is because they deal damage to Goristro. The black runes heal him, and they heal him for far more than a yellow rune damages him. So if you're caught out of position, it's best to point him at no rune at all than to risk him hitting a black one. Even as a ranged damage dealer, you have to come closer to Goristro. If you just sit there in the Sanity Well, you won't have enough time to direct the charge. After Goristro charges, everyone should head to the nearest Sanity Well and then back to the center of the room, because Goristro will jump back to the center of the room after every charge. Again, I'll explain why you enter the Sanity Well after I finish explaining the last phase. In the third and final phase, you simply kill Demogorgon. As a tank, your job is to keep him near Sanity Wells. The best thing you can do is to take him all the way back to the entrance. However, this is hard to do most of the time because Demogorgon can't walk through other players and companions, and because he uses some ranged abilities as well. Now I'll finally explain what Sanity Wells are for. Throughout all 3 phases, players will take damage every few seconds. Anytime a player takes damage, either from the constant damage or from enemies, they will gain a stack of the Madness debuff. Once that debuff reaches enough stacks, you won't be able to use your abilities. Entering a Sanity Well will clear the debuff, so whenever you're near a Sanity Well and have some time, clear the debuff. This is also why you take that time while Goristro jumps back to clear the debuff with the Sanity Well. However, there's another, more important use of the Sanity Wells. In the second and third phase, in regular intervals, you'll see a purple line attached to your character. When you see this line, enter a Sanity Well as quickly as you can. Otherwise, you will take a large amount of damage, which one-shots most non-tanks. You cannot use a well-timed dodge to avoid the damage. Even as a tank, while you can usually survive the damage, the problem is that it will instantly increase your debuff stacks to the point where you won't be able to use your abilities. You will also gain stacks if you use the Sanity Well to clear the purple line, but leave it before the actual effect is over. You won't take the damage, but the debuff stacks will appear. To deal with this, simply stay in the Sanity Well for a second or 2 after entering. Now a final summation of the fight. Phase 1, as a tank, keep Demogorgon on yourself. As anyone else, open the purple portals and kill the demons that spawn from them. Phase 2, direct the charge into the yellow runes and enter the Sanity Well when the purple lines appear. Phase 3, As a tank, keep Demogorgon near Sanity Wells. Everyone should enter Sanity Wells as the purple lines appear. A useful thing to know is that if you die, you can still enter the fight. In the master versions, the only notable differences are the following. In the first phase, enemies have more health and hit harder, and there is only one Sanity Well, the one at the entrance. In the second phase, Goristro also uses an AoE stomp ability, and there are rocks falling from the ceiling which do a lot of damage. In the third phase, Sanity Wells disappear more quickly and take longer to reappear. It's best to try and pull Demogorgon back to the entrance Sanity Well. A final difference between normal and master is that throughout all three phases, paranoid delusions spawn. They deal a decent bit of damage, but can mostly just be killed alongside whatever else you're killing in that phase. That's pretty much everything you need to know about the Demogorgon encounter. If you learned something new from this video, leave a like. It takes a second of your time but helps me out a lot. If you enjoyed this type of guide content, subscribe, because I'll be making more Neverwinter guides in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.